Hey everybody, in this video all my gear will be rated on a tier list. I'm currently on a doomed to fail mission to bring order to the eternal chaos that is Bad Gear HQ, so I'm going to use the opportunity to share my thoughts on instruments collecting dust here, the tools I use on a daily basis, and, as is tradition here on YouTube, tier list them relentlessly. The focus will lie on electronic musical instruments and recording equipment, so I won't spend too much time on computers, VJ and guitar stuff. There's also a bunch of gear I gave to friends as a long-term loan that won't be included here. Thanks for your understanding, let's get right to it. Chapter 1. But girl. Don't worry, we will talk about this rack in a bit, but now we will have a look at this completely overpopulated IKEA shelf. DSi Evolver. It's an incredibly nice sounding hybrid synth, but a PITA to use. C tier. SR16. Alesis is selling this drum machine since 1991 and hasn't changed much since. C tier. The Roland S1. They probably haven't released a better synth since 1990. S tier. Roland P6. I really wanted to like this and it sounds great, but it has some substantial flaws. C tier. The OG Novation Circuit. Probably the cheapest way to get into DAWless jamming. A tier. If you're looking for an overpriced yet underwhelming vocoder, the VP3 is the one to get. D tier. Arturia Microlab. It's a keyboard as simple as they get. B tier. I honestly couldn't resist, but I haven't even tried it out yet. No rating. Korg Nano Control. It's a simple MIDI controller, it mostly works. C tier. Novation Launchpad Mini. It does its job. B tier. Novation Circuit Monostation. It's basically a scaled down Bass Station 2 with a different sequencer. Underrated. B tier. Roland JX03. It sounds about as underwhelming as the original. C tier. RME Babyface Pro FS. If you want mastering grade audio quality on the go, this is the one to get. S tier. Yamaha DX200, probably the most fun FM synth I own. The workflow sucks and it's falling apart, so B tier. Speaking of falling apart, my UC33 has seen better days, but it's a great MIDI controller. B tier. Polyant Tracker, lots of fun, but I prefer the Mini. C tier. If you want a compact old-school Roland Rompler, you can't go wrong with a JV1010. This one has the techno card in there, which is nice to have. C tier. Yet another ancient MIDI controller. C tier. Vintage Boss drum machines are fun, but didn't age so well. C tier. D tier. The Korg PSS50 Super Section. One day someone is going to write a hit on that thing. F tier. I definitely have too many MIDI controllers. D tier, and this one really sucks. Leave a comment if I should make a Bad Gear episode about it. F tier. Chapter 2. Bread and butter. To the left of my desk there is not only the work surface I use for most of my jams, there's also a small producer rack that holds the stuff that shows up in my videos all the time. On top of this rack lies the Yomox M-Bass 11, which sounds great but is super hard to program. A tier. Right next to the M-Bass there is another German product, the ERM Multiclock. I think the company is called Floating Point now, and it is, in my humble opinion, the best MIDI clock there is. A tier. Another staple in many of my jams is the Arturia BeatStep Pro. It's got its flaws, but it's super immediate and easy to use. B tier. Frequent viewers of this channel will know me as a casual tracker enjoyer, and the Polyant Tracker Mini is probably the most fun of them all. B tier. The most indispensable instrument on this channel is maybe the Roland TB3. Last time I put it in a tier list, I made a dedicated tier for it. This time, S tier. Whenever I need a simple and easy to use multi-FX rack unit, I use this pre-Uli Behringer TC300. B tier. Another Yomox instrument I tend to keep in close proximity, the Airbase 99 from the 90s. It sounds absolutely gorgeous, but is impossible to program. A tier. In the aforementioned producer rack there is a drawer that snugly fits two of my most used instruments. Digitakt 2, which is probably my favorite sequencer slash sampler, and the Little Rocket, a totally underrated mono synth. S tier. A tier. Speaking of underrated gear, the MIDI Solutions Quadra Through finds its way into most of my setups. 1 MIDI in, 4 MIDI out. A tier. At the back of the first drawer is the, how is it called? Ableton, Move. Exactly. I will put it in the S tier as soon as it can play back warped loops. Until then, C tier. As soon as you build more complex setups, chances are you will run into hum issues, so line isolators and DI boxes become a necessity. A tier, S tier, C tier. Speaking of DI boxes, here's a totally crazy tax write-off by Rupert Neve Design. A tier. Here are some of the most used effects pedals: Golden Reverberator, S tier, fantastic sounding reverb, Canyon is a great delay, A tier, not so great delay, C tier, but it's only 29 bucks. I mostly use Platform because it has the meters on top so you can see them. B tier, Multi-Stomp by Zoom, fantastic and versatile pedal but not exactly high-end. B tier, Digital Delay by Boss, classic, also B tier. Eventide H9, classic. S tier, MF Drive by Moog, fantastic filter and overdrive. A tier, line selectors are helpful. B tier, and Crash Pad by Electro Harmonics is fun. C tier. Down here are two more classics, the Alesis 3630 for Daft Punk reimaginings and an ADAT XT, which was of course a game changer in the 90s but is more or less useless now. B tier, D tier. Chapter 3. The museum. These are the pieces of gear I like to have around but don't use as much as I want to. First and foremost, my beloved Space Echo, S tier, then of course the Akai S950, which makes me feel like DJ Premier. S tier, there is this freaky Korg FX processor that comes with a TV style remote control. C tier, Boss BX60 mixer, which is great for TR drum machines. C tier, I'm a bit torn when it comes to System 1. I really like the engine, but the keyboard is mostly broken. C tier. Certainly not to everyone's taste, but I really like Drum Brute Impact. B tier. This is a stereo channel strip from a Studio Master console from the 80s. Super dirty sound, but I actually like it. C tier. Boss DR202. Probably the most fun Boss drum machine from the 90s. Super noisy, but I really like it. B tier. I finally finished my collection of first generation Electribes. C tier, B tier, A tier, and the ER1 is currently at a friend's place, which is of course S tier. Korg Monotribe, super primitive, but it's got a following for a reason. C tier. This video wouldn't be complete without the Akai Animals. Rhythm Wolf, F tier, Tomcat, D tier, and we will talk about Tabra Wolf a little later. Little VHS tape-shaped Yamaha devices from the 90s, SU10 C tier and QY10 D tier. A drum machine too obscure for bad gear, the MFB 501. I'm pretty sure Heinbach would like this. D tier. The Sound Canvas SC505. It's not as bad as you might think, but still D tier. One of the most compact 80s FM synths, the Yamaha FB01. It more or less comes without a UI. D tier. Some random Yamaha FX unit, probably D tier. Donna's take on the TB303.
Not great or terrible.
C tier. Korg Volker sample is super fun, but loading samples is a nightmare. C tier. Korg Volker keys totally punches above its weight. B tier. This FX pedal was manufactured by Simon the Magpie. Of course, S tier. Alesis flanger, I haven't even tried it out. No rating. Yomox M-Bass 01, the predecessor to the M-Bass 11. B tier. The Roland PMA5, one of the weirdest pieces of gear ever. D tier. The cheapest original TR drum machines you can get hold of. 505, C tier. 626, A tier. Uli didn't sue me, so A tier. Korg really needs to put out a Volker cowbell, so one of my patrons, thank you so much, built one for me. S tier. Novation Sio Synth. It's digital, it's cheap, it's plastic, it's tier D. Yet another TB3, of course, S tier. I would love to use Blofeld all the time, but the knobs are unfortunately completely f***ed. C tier. And last but certainly not least, Korg Micro Korg. A tier. Oh, I almost forgot. There's another compartment back there, and in it there is, for example, the Akai S20. C tier. Not as legendary as its sibling, the 303, but I like the tonal patina of the 202. B tier. I should really give the DS10 for the Nintendo DS another go. C tier. And finally, the most hideous Roland instrument, the D2. Double D tier. Chapter 4. The 90s Raver. Let's go through the 90s Rave rack quickly. The Düpfer MS404 is a 19-inch rack version of a small Eurorack setup before Eurorack was even a thing. A tier, the Wave Station SR sounds nice but has one of the worst UIs of all time. D tier, the Orbit 1990 is chock full of corny 90s rave samples. Love it. B tier, the Yamaha TX81Z comes with a famous lately bass preset and is super versatile for a 4OP FM synth from the 80s. C tier, and of course the 90s MIDI to money converter, the JV1080 by Roland. C tier. Chapter 5. The Waltz. This is where I keep all the truly cursed gear and admittedly a few real gems. But let's start with the cursed ones. SH201 by Roland, a lo-fi sounding synth in the worst sense of the word. D tier. If you're looking for the true sound of the 80s but you're sick of DX7s and D50s, the K4 by Kawai is worth a shot. B tier. Yamaha SY22 is a cinematic and somewhat grainy sounding synth, but most importantly, it's got a joystick. C tier. SM Pro Audio V Machine is an ancient and completely underpowered VSD player that never really worked. You can run Delay Llama on it though. D tier. The Korg microsampler would have been awesome if it was actually good. It's super ugly too. D tier. The Korg 707 was an 80s attempt to make FM synthesis somewhat approachable, and it actually worked. B tier. The most bare bones of 80s Roland Romplers, the U110. D tier. If you want the dreadful workflow of old school samplers but none of the mojo, the S2000 is the one to get. D tier. Quasi MIDI Sirius. It is the original rave machine and you can actually make it sound great if you're Jaxus. C tier. Numerous old Behringer mixers. D tier. The MC808 is a decent sounding rompler but not a Groovebox you still want to work with. The sampling workflow is atrocious and the motor faders are starting to fail. C tier. You can never have enough Mackie mixers. This is a VLC2 from the 90s and I have a newer one here too. B tier, C tier. The M Audio Oxygen 8 V2 is not only my main MIDI keyboard, it also guards the gate to this bad gear dungeon. S tier. Korg NTS1 sounds awesome but is a bit fiddly. C tier. Alesis MMT8 sequencer in a box still does the job. C tier. Here's a Korg K-Oscillator Mini I haven't used much. C tier. This is one of the last American-made Mother 32s which I keep in the box so it stays mint. B tier. It's an old volume pedal. D tier. Yet another TB3 in the box. S tier. Korg Super Drums DDM 110. I did an episode on it together with Alex Ball, so it has a special place in my heart. Still D tier. Here's a weird JL Cooper device that lets you sync ADATs to MIDI sync. B tier? Unfortunately, the Apex is far too big and powerful for what I usually do. Still A tier. Zoom 505, one of the most notorious guitar multi-effects units from the 90s. C tier. The Electro-Harmonix bassballs, this is the Russian version, is an envelope, follower and fuzz. B tier. Even more Boss drum machines, this one is special because it was used for Memphis rap. C tier, D tier. Speaking of Boss drum machines, the DR110 is very similar to the TR606 sonically, but is missing essential connectivity. D tier. The Korg K-Oscillator Pro, conceptually interesting but inherently flawed. D tier. This Roland EF303 is broken and I'm not even mad. D tier. Game Changer Audio Motor Synth MK2. Love the concept, great sounds, but the noise of the motors is unbearable. C tier. Another multi-effects unit from the 90s, but I think it's broken. No rating. Yamaha RX15, super bare bones drum machine from the 80s. D tier. Yamaha RM1X, rave sounds for days and a super complex sequencer that is hard to use. C tier. Modal Sculpt, a great sounding synthesizer in one of the crappiest enclosures of all time. C tier. And of course Arturia Drum Brute, nice to work with, looks great but sounds terrible. D tier.
Chapter 6. The Wreck of Doom.
This is where old 19-inch rack gear goes to die. Proteus 1, a legendary Rompler from 1989, C tier, the D110, which is the overcomplicated little sibling to the already complicated D50, D tier. I don't use this Focusrite Scarlett anymore, but it's not so bad. B tier, Imagic Uniter 8 was the industry standard back in the day, but is obsolete now. D tier, this DBX290 reverb is inspired by the PCM60 by Lexicon and sounds surprisingly nice. B tier, Ultramizer Pro by Behringer is the dirtiest mastering processor I've ever heard. F tier, the Virtualizer by Behringer is a pretty good multi-FX unit though. B tier, I don't know if this LA compressor always sucked or it just needs some maintenance. F tier, and this Behringer compressor, which was still made in Germany, is broken. F tier.
Chapter 7. So much gear, so little space.
You might have a gear hoarding problem as soon as you start stacking it atop of your shelves, but I try to keep the Turbo at a safe distance. F tier. There is of course the dreadful MPX8 turned art project, also F tier. The notorious Beat Tank, so much potential, but D tier. A01 by Roland, a true WTF instrument, also D tier, and a lot of Walkers. That's the box for the Walker keys. Walker Sample 2, a lot of fun, just like its predecessor, but sample loading has got even worse. C tier. Walker FM, low polyphony, but DX7 compatibility. A tier. Walker Drum got its flaws but sounds super nice. B tier. Walker Kick is awesome. A tier. There's of course the legendary Casio Rapman, which is so weird that I give it a C tier instead of D tier. There is a Fireface 800, which is unfortunately broken but otherwise still nice as a converter. B tier. Here is the Zoom ARQ AR48, a beautiful design failure. D tier. And finally two interior design pieces by Teenage Engineering. C tier, F tier.
Chapter 8. The serious stuff.
You might be surprised to hear that the most important rack here doesn't contain any synths. Here's my main stereo front end, a pair of Neve 1073s with an SSL bus compressor in a 500 format, double S tier. Below that is a Focusrite ISA 2 preamp with a Drama 1968 compressor in the inserts. A tier, B tier. I just recently bought an SSL 18 audio interface, which I mostly use as preamps and converters. A tier. There's an old Mo2 Microlight MIDI interface, which could be a little faster. B tier. That's why I try to get used to these two. No rating yet. Fireface 400 hooked up to my monitors and the microphone you currently hear. B tier. I don't use that Korg rack tuner much these days. C tier. And an LA610 tube preamp, which I also don't use much these days because it sounds a little too soft for what I'm doing. Still A tier. I don't really have an opinion on this power conditioner.
Stuff that slipped my attention.
Okay, here's a bunch of stuff I forgot to film. Last week's Nord Modular A tier, the original PlayStation with Music 2000 A tier as well. Not a big fan of the Microverb 2 D tier, but really nice compressor by FMR is really nice. B tier, the original Pod, not as bad as you might remember it. C tier, Roland SH32, the spiritual successor to the SH4D, truly sucks. D tier, a handful of pocket operators. D tier, C tier, B tier, and in the darkest corner of my studio is a Yamaha CS1X, which, as some of you might remember, was bitten by a shark. C tier. You all know my old Digitakt, which was surpassed by its successor, B tier, and I just recently bought an Analog 4. Of course, I wouldn't put it on bad gear, or would I? Hope you enjoyed this little tier list. Feel free to leave a furious comment about me under/overrating a piece of gear you briefly owned a few years back. Like, subscribe, become a patron, and use one of the links down below to support the channel regardless of what your gas commands you to buy. I, however, still have some cleaning to do. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
More pedals.
Thanks to all my patrons for supporting the channel and welcome to the monthly Vocoder shoutouts. I would say we're about halfway there and we're going to use the Nord Modular Vocoder Tier 4.
Calvin Steve Candy Shaver Lester Brian Gregory Marvino Scrivenhoven
Tier 6.
The Village Forlorn.
Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. See you next month.